Here's a ghost story from Nagpur, narrated by someone who experienced it firsthand. A few years ago, I was staying in a guest house in Nagpur while on a business trip. The guest house was located in a quieter part of the city, surrounded by lush greenery. It was a charming old building with creaky wooden floors and a large, sprawling garden. I was working late one night, preparing for a big presentation the next day. Around midnight, I decided to take a break and went out to the garden to get some fresh air. The garden was bathed in moonlight, and it was eerily quiet, except for the occasional rustle of leaves. As I walked around, I noticed a small old well at the far end of the garden. It had been covered with a wooden slab, but I could still see the faint outline of the well. Curiosity got the better of me, and I went closer to the well. As I peered into its depths, I thought I saw something moving at the bottom. It was so faint and quick that I wasn't sure if I had imagined it. I was about to turn away when I heard a soft, sorrowful moan coming from the direction of the well. My heart started pounding. I looked around, but there was no one in sight. The moaning continued, growing louder and more distinct. It sounded like someone was in distress. I hesitated, but decided to check the well more closely. Just as I reached out to lift the wooden slab, I saw a figure appear near the well, a shadowy, translucent form of a woman. The figure was dressed in old-fashioned clothing and looked as though she was reaching out towards me. Her expression was one of sadness and desperation. I could see right through her, and the air around me grew icy cold. Terrified, I stumbled back and ran inside the guest house. I locked the doors and tried to calm myself, but the image of that ghostly figure haunted me all night. The next morning, I mentioned the incident to the caretaker of the guest house. He looked at me with a grave expression and told me that the well had a tragic history. According to him, many years ago, a young woman had lived in the guest house with her family. She had fallen in love with a man from a different social class, and their love affair was met with strong disapproval from her family. In despair, she had thrown herself into the well. Her spirit, he said, was said to be trapped there, forever mourning her lost love. I never went near the well again and was eager to leave the guest house as soon as my business was over. To this day, I can't shake the feeling of that icy presence and the sorrowful figure of the woman. It's a memory that remains vivid and chilling, even though I try to rationalize it as a trick of the mind. But sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I can still hear that mournful moan echoing in my mind.